off your vote at the board office, I believe. Thank you for sharing that, Captain. Sorry, I forgot about that one. Okay. Today, so I've got 2 more meetings before we get into the intro to business planning. And today we're talking about attitude is everything. But before we get started, I want y'all to take just 2 or 3 minutes and write down something you're grateful for today. Could be something that, does anybody need a pen? Piece of paper? Something you're grateful for. Or it could have happened today, could have happened last week, last month, last year, but just take a minute or 2 and just write down things you're thankful for, grateful for. Could be things that you now possess, or it could be things that you're grateful for that you no longer possess or have. So I'll give you a minute or 2 to do that. You don't have to share it. I'm not going to ask you to share it at the end of the presentation and trick you into divulging the secrets that you're grateful for. I'm grateful Auburn didn't lose by 4 touchdowns, right? I'm grateful they kept it close for the first half. Thankful it was nice weather. You're going to lose a football game, lose it on a nice day, not when it's raining or freezing cold or miserably hot. Okay, y'all can finish up now. We'll come back to that here in a little bit. But why are we focusing on attitudes today? It's hard to think, and obviously we do count Halloween as the first holiday of the fall season. So as we enter the holiday season, our mindsets tend to change a little bit. I'm not talking about y'all specifically, but just in general. People start thinking about doing other things, getting ready for the holidays. I read an article yesterday that they said this year, Halloween decoration sales will set a new record.
I don't know that.
Because people are, if they have enough supplies, right? That people are getting so excited about Halloween because did anybody go trick-or-treating last year? It's very confusing.
Yeah, I totally guess.
Yeah.
No children have a trick.
Yeah. Hey, I've never heard there was an age limit on Halloween. You just have to be dressed up and you have to say trick or treat and knock on a door. And they give you candy. So, last year we kind of thought it was going to be over, and this year, they just announced, I think, masks are now, they're no longer required in the schools here, that they're optional. At least I think I read that about the public schools. Do y'all not read the paper?
I don't read the paper.
It's hard to read the paper when they don't deliver it to your house. So they're looking for drivers. If anybody's looking for a job that starts at 4 a.m. in the morning, you can get a job delivering papers because we can't find somebody to deliver papers to our building anymore. But you can buy it next door at the CVS, which I find is very strange, or Walgreens, because we're right here. Anyway, I digress.
Also go online and read newspaper on the computer.
That's what I do, Albert. You're right. So sometimes when the holidays change, our mindset change. The view you adopt for yourself can profoundly affect the way you lead your life, decisions you make. So yes, congratulations, Georgia Bulldogs. Number 1. I hope y'all stay up there in Alabama. No disrespect to the Alabama fans. Just a lot of disrespect to the Alabama fans. No, that was a really good game, and Georgia deserves to be ranked number 1. They have an awesome team, and played really, really well. But it's so fun when, I guess being a dad, being a parent, when children can learn things that you don't have to teach them by telling them, this is why we're doing this. I grew up always staying till the end of the game. One, because I think my dad just enjoyed Auburn so much, he would spend as much time in Auburn as he possibly could. So we'd get there 4 hours early. And then we'd stay after the game was over, win or lose, and wait for all the traffic to die down before we went home. So I've always grown up just staying till the end of the game. And regardless of the score. And now that I have children, I feel it's even more important for them to understand that, help them develop the right attitude. Because you know why I stay till the end of the game? Why do most fans stay till the end of the game, do you think?
Loyalty.
They hope the players will stay till the end of the game too, and possibly win or lose. What happens, have you ever left a game, come to find out that your team won after you left?
Yep.
And maybe there was a good reason why you left, but the players, you always hope, win or lose, whether they're up by 50 points or they're down by 50, that they're staying till the end of the game no matter what, win or lose. And so I was watching people, Auburn fans, I want to say it was when the fourth quarter hit or some play happened that set Auburn back even a little further. And that's just like someone pushed a button. It's like fans just started getting up and started walking out. And while I was sitting in traffic 2 hours later in the parking lot, not even on the highway yet, thinking, well, I kind of wish I was one of those people maybe that did leave a little early. But leaving early is not a skill. It's not a skill you can put on your resume that anybody wants to hire or work with you and say, I'm really good at leaving early. Yeah, it's one of my specialties. I'm great at beating traffic. But you can become proficient at beating traffic if you leave every game early. So trying to help you understand perspective, and I'll read this. My cousin sent this to me last week. And I thought was really interesting. She and I were talking about something, and these are my mom's sister's kids who always ask me, what are you talking about next week? I'm like, attitudes, everything. Well, tell me about it. I'm like, I want to tell you about what I'm talking about. So I did, and she sent me this. And this says, you're holding a cup of coffee when someone comes along and bumps into you or shakes your arm, making you spill your coffee everywhere. Why did you spill the coffee? Because someone bumped into me. Wrong answer. You spilled the coffee because there was coffee in your cup. Had there been tea in the cup, you would have spilled tea. Whatever's inside the cup is what will spill out. Therefore, when life comes along and shakes you, which will happen, whatever is inside you will come out. It's easy to fake it until you get rattled. So we have to ask ourselves, what's in my cup? When life gets tough, what spills over? Joy, gratefulness, peace, humility, anger, bitterness, harsh words and reactions. Life provides the cup. You choose how to fill it. Today, let's work towards filling our cups with gratitude, forgiveness, joy, words of affirmation and kindness, gentleness, and love for others. That's from Chuck Oberman. If you have kids, you may have read the book. You might know the book, The Bucket Filler. Such a great little book. It's about kids walking around with buckets. And either someone is dipping into your bucket and taking things out, or you're going around emptying out your bucket to others, right? Does that make sense? You know, John, he was mean to me. Like, no, you let him, he dipped into your bucket. And he didn't have any in his bucket, so maybe you need to try to fill up Johnny's bucket. Dad, Johnny will punch me in the face if I try. Point is, you know, to share things. And my cousin sent this to me. I talk to my brother maybe twice a week, but ended up calling him and without even, not even like saying what I was doing, he goes into the story because I asked him like, well, hey, what'd y'all do last weekend? And he said, well, last night we went out to eat dinner with the Perrys, and the Perrys and Stacy at the Riverside Country Club. They said a lady at another table was trying to be funny and she threw a roll and it hit my glass of wine and it spilt all over me. They said, luckily it was white wine. She came over and was real embarrassed and she was just mortified. So sorry. And she didn't remember meeting him before. They had met, but couldn't remember each other. But she was very embarrassed and she, said, please let me buy you another glass of wine. Please, please. He's like, no, no, no. I don't need another glass of wine. Because, when that happens, the last thing you think about is drinking. Like, I'm drinking what is all over me right now. Like, I don't need another glass to pour all over myself. And he said he was the designated driver and he wasn't going to get another drink. So he was just being real polite, even though he said I was really frustrated because of exactly where it spilled. So told her it's not a big deal. And so she decided to go out to her car and bring him a copy of a wild game cookbook that she and her husband had just written. It focuses a lot on birds because in Montana, there's a lot of bird hunting. But it was focused on big birds, big game and bird hunting. And she signed it and gave that to him as kind of a peace offering. Now, the question I have to ask you and want y'all to think about is, did his reaction or attitude about what happened cause her to go out to the car and respond with another act of kindness? Or would she have done that had he been a jerk and made a big deal about how she ruined his wine, and maybe she just would have bought him another glass of wine and moved on? So think about that. You don't have to give me your answer, but I thought it was real interesting that sometimes the way we respond or the attitude we choose to have when things do go wrong can lead to other opportunities that you could not have even planned of happening, right? He brought it, he said he's gonna bring it home for Thanksgiving, and if we have any dove or quail left, he's gonna use one of the recipes from her book to cook dinner. What a cool little story out of just having the right attitude when you're not even thinking about it. And this is a tribute to my grandmother. My grandmother would worry, I've told you this before, she'd worry about me not worried. I'm like, is that even possible? You're worried about me not worrying about what you're worrying about? So I did a little research, and the average worrier is 92% inefficient. I could not have said that to my grandmother. She'd have looked at me like the devil had taken a hold of my tongue and tried to convince her not to worry anymore. But statistically speaking, and there's research done on this, only 8% of what we worry about ever comes true. Less than 10%. So worrying about things that are going to happen. Who was worried about gas last night or this morning or right now?
I was this morning for like a hot minute.
Did you find gas? Maybe your husband will find gas somewhere out there. So I don't know how many people are here, but less than 10% of people in this room are actually going to experience an issue with gas in their car, right? You can siphon some out of my Subaru if you get really bad. So you're thinking about, I was kind of worried because I had to go pick up my kids. I've got to go somewhere this afternoon after work. And I thought, well, how am I going to get there? So what I do, stopped worrying. I'm just going to get up and go get gas in the morning before everybody else in Columbus gets gas. And the gas station I went to now is shut down. So kudos to me. No, just kidding. But seriously, worrying about things doesn't help us accomplish. Because what's the one thing you have control in every situation? Yeah, your attitude, your thoughts, how you react to it. Those are the greatest influencers on your attitude. I'd say they're probably more important than facts, because what happens to us all. So we have to manage our thoughts and our moods. Does anybody here own a gas station? Is anybody a landlord to a tenant of a gas station? Or does anybody own a 500-gallon gas tank in their yard? I was going to say maybe you do, Daniel, but even you don't. I thought about having one when I lived out in Midland just for diesel. to run the trucks and the equipment. I mean, gas is never a problem, but we are all experiencing the same thing today as worrying about gas. And if we're going to be able to get to work or go show property or pick up kids from carpool, can you imagine pulling up to school and just cars shut down? Just going to leave them here. What are we going to do? Well, guess what? It's really not going to happen. Like, it's not that bad. You could call someone up and ask them if they could pick up your kids, or we could go back taxi carpool and use less gas. It's all kind of things we could do, but only you can control how you react to it. So the reason I had you take a minute before we start and write down things you're grateful for, thankful for, is because these can have a tremendous impact on how you start your day. You can count your blessings, you can write them down. You can read that list once a week, or you can read it every morning. It would probably take about 2 minutes to read the things you're grateful for when you get up. And you can add things to your list. As you become grateful for things, you start to see how many other blessings that you have. Because being positive, having a good outlook offers so many advantages. Because the doors of opportunity are always open to the optimist. And I don't know if any of y'all follow, social media has created a lot of influencers that it's almost like we don't even have time to research if what they're saying is accurate. But there's one I follow on Instagram, it's called Success Something. And I always have a picture of some successful quote on it. The one I read yesterday said, all the doors to opportunity were closed on me, so I made enough money and bought the building. I thought, one way I looked at that is, okay, so every door that person was trying to go through was closed. They kept working hard enough to where they didn't need to go through the doors anymore to get to where they were going, right? That's sometimes called hard optimism. And by following hard optimism, practicing gratitude and forgiveness can help you fight off negativity. Because we could get wrapped up in all the things that aren't going our way all the time. I mean, gas, supplies, the internet goes out. I don't have blue hairspray for crazy hair day this Friday. An 8-year-old told me that they want the natural one that doesn't stay in your hair all day long. Thinking, can I just use your real hair and make your hair already looks crazy, Charlotte? No, I didn't say that. But it's so hard to be positive. But it's going to be even more difficult to be positive and face the challenges that are coming through this quarter and in 2022 if you don't have an attitude of gratitude. Attitude is everything, I believe. And if y'all know me, I love music. I enjoy making playlists. Who here, you don't have to say how old you were when this happened, okay? Just you can raise your hand if it happened. Did anybody ever make a mixtape on a cassette? Okay? Did anybody record songs off the radio on that cassette to make that tape? Because I couldn't afford a double cassette player. That's that's really expensive. Does anybody remember the first song that was on one of the mixtapes that they made? I can remember the first song someone made me as a mixtape, and I can remember that person's name. I thought, wow, this must be really special. But I'm not that big of a Dave Matthews fan. But Ants Marching, every time I hear that song, I think about a person. Because, remember how long it used to take to make a mixtape? That was a commitment. That could take you 2 hours. And then you get to the end of the tape, and the song's still playing. Because you don't know how much time is left on a tape, right? So I always make a playlist for my kids in the morning, and it's real easy because now I just use my old iPhones and plug it into the car. And I don't know, I feel it's really important for them to start the day off in a positive way. So they get to school thinking it's gonna be a great day. So Would anybody like to guess one of the songs that's on our playlist? There's about 25 on there. And I rotate them through. Obviously, we won't listen to all 25, but sometimes we skip around.
The troll movie song.
I was about to say, what is, yeah, what is that?
Get back up again
What is it?
and
Like,
can't stop the feeling. Yep.
Any kids, Bob?
The Lego one, Friends or Family.
Yeah, the Lego one.
We like to play that at 7:30 because Batman says, you know, hey, Robin, it's 7:30. It's like, they look forward to being on, listen.
So cute.
These are Jedi mind tricks. They look forward to being in the car by 7:30 to play that song.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you see how it's working? And then, you know, Bill Withers' Lovely Day.
Oh,
Lovely
yeah.
day, lovely day. So, you know, this doesn't have to always just be affirmations or your gratitudes in the morning. You know, there's lots of other things that can help you remain positive and realize that, you know, I'm going to get through the day. I've made it to lunch, or I've made it through Wednesday, or whatever it is. Just getting in the right mindset before your day really starts is so critically important. So imagine if over the upcoming holidays, as you're meeting, greeting people out, you know, shopping, at parties, we're going to have a Christmas party here again this year for the kids, pending everything continues on the course that it is. But imagine if you're out and about and someone comes along and bumps into you or shakes your arm, spilling your coffee, or worse, your White Claw, your last White Claw drink everywhere. You know, what will you spill out? Is it anger, bitterness, harsh reaction, joy, peace, humility, gratitude? Whatever you're carrying in your cup is what will spill out. You got White Claw in your cup, you're going to spill out White Claw. You've got water, you're going to spill out water. Whatever's in your cup is what's going to spill out. And as we're re-engaging, you can't control what is going to happen to other people. All this stuff, it happens to all of us. But you can control how you react to it. And your attitude can be the door that opens up another opportunity for you to have a relationship with someone, to meet a new client, to learn about an opportunity. Never forget, attitudes are contagious. I think that's one thing that will cure maybe the pandemic is people's attitudes. There just seems to be so many different attitudes about what is happening. But always ask yourself, is mine worth catching? And I hope it will be. And I know it will be, because you all have great attitudes about everything that you do and how you run your businesses. And just want you to think about those things. Next week will be kind of our final regular sales meeting, and then we'll go into business planning. So hope you have the right attitude for that, to be prepared for 2022. We've changed up our process a little bit for that, which we'll go over at the end of this month. So appreciate y'all being here. And if you want to get to know someone that has the best attitude of anyone I know, he's sitting in the back, and his name is Albert Oliver. And very proud of you, Albert. But thank y'all for being here. I believe there's, not trying to start a bad habit of cake before 11 a.m. I believe there is cake out there for Albert if you'd like to have some. And thank y'all for being here. Thank you, Michelle and Eddie.
I put some rats out there. They were left